Well, look at that. Look at that handsome fellow. This shot taken many years ago. Uh, Actually, it was at a priest ordination ceremony, of which uh, I took part because I was in town and I was a local apostolic bishop. And I was even wearing my bishop ring for that event. Just a number of years ago, I don't know. But anyway, they used that photograph of me for the Czech translation of My Life with the Spirits. And a couple other languages have done My Life with the Spirits. And this is a Bulgarian edition. They use sort of the same cover and kind of green cover stock there. And I couldn't quickly find what other language it's in. Maybe that's it. But anyway, it's Sunday and it's Sunday school. And I'm a little groggy because it was so crowded at the coffee shop. Took my morning walk to the coffee shop. The line was out the door and around the building, and I just wasn't going to sit that long. I would be even more late than I am this morning. So Constance quickly fixed me a cup of insanely good sort of it's called milk something jasmine oolong milk oolong or what
It's Chinese tea.
it's Chinese tea. It's so good. Okay, it's not milk. There's not milk in it. Okay, it's just part of the name. But welcome to Sunday school. Even though I'm not caffeinated, I think the oolong has a kick to it anyway. A couple things are going on in my life. I'm busy working on a new book project, which I'll tell you more about, and hopefully that will be with the good folks at Wiser. Also, the good folks at Wiser, I've been thinking about them because 25 years ago, like on my birthday, 25 years ago last month, I finished writing My Life with the Spirits 25 years ago. Now, I've got a couple other 25th anniversary books that I've celebrated, and there's been commemorative. The Magic of Aleister Crowley on its 25th anniversary last year, I think, or the year before. Wiser honored that book with a republication as one of the Wiser Classics series, which I'm very humbled and very proud of. I don't know if they're going to do this with My Life with the Spirits. And I've shared portions of My Life with the Spirits with you over and over again over the years. Before I get too far, I will check my sound here. Hang on. Hang on. I think my sound is just fine, so I'm going to take that and do that. But for Sunday school, as I was walking back uncaffeinated from the coffee shop this morning, I thought, didn't I write something about Sunday school? Sunday school should have the subject of Sundays. And of course, yes. In let's see here. Yeah, Altar Boy. It's chapter 5 in this. It's just a couple of pages. So I'm going to share a couple things from my life with the spirits. I got to thinking, and I posted it on Facebook this morning. Some of you, maybe many of you that watch me every morning or that every once in a while catch one of my things on either here or YouTube or your friends share, many of you weren't even born when I first wrote My Life with the Spirits. Not only does that make me feel pretty damn old, but it makes me feel very grateful that that 25 years ago I wrote a book that has weathered a quarter century of vicious critics. Okay, but anyway, so I'm going to share a Sunday school story with you on Sunday school. Lonnie, do you believe in Jesus? Reverend Alan Kastner squeezed the new black Bible in both hands like it was an overstuffed sandwich. That Bible was mine. I earned it. I squirmed through 2 tedious years of Sunday school and survived the most obscene and evil form of legalized child abuse ever devised. Vacation Bible School. Am I right? I passed their examinations. I got up before dawn every Sunday to sing in the children's choir at early service. On Saturday mornings, while my friends were playing Army or watching Sky King on TV, I sat alone in the musty, haunted 100-year-old chapel and mindlessly folded the next day's bulletins and responsive readings. Did I believe in Jesus? Didn't I dress up like a cherub every Sunday and march down the aisle bearing the sacred flame? Didn't I start each 11 a.m. service by enkindling the massive candles upon the altar that signified the living presence of God? And who was it that ended each service by solemnly extinguishing the candles with a long brass snuffer? Me. That's who. And this was very ceremonial. It was a ceremonial march down the center aisle of a very large church. And a ceremonial march down the aisle to snuff the candles. And I led everybody out at the end of the service. I was the head of then came the minister. Then came the choir director. Then came the choir down there, dressed like a little cherub. Did I believe in Jesus? Did I believe in Jesus? Hell no. I didn't believe in Jesus, but I earned that goddamn Bible. Now standing before the altar of God, in front of my parents and the entire congregation, I was going to have to lie to get it. Yes, sir. I was 9 years old, and at last, a full-fledged Christian. Reverend Allen looked like he was going to cry. He handed me my prize and put his hand on my shoulder and turned me toward the congregation. How old are you, Lonnie? 9. Do you say your prayers at night? Yes, sir. This was not a lie, for I prayed fervently every night, but not to Jesus, not to God. Each night, as I stared out of my window into the beautiful Nebraska sky, I tearfully prayed to space aliens or any superior intelligence in the universe who could hear my plea. Get me out of Nebraska. Take me back to California. Take me anywhere. You can perform medical experiments on me. I don't care. Just get me out of here. Friends, this is our little candle lighter, Lon DuQuette. You may not recognize him without his little white gown. Laughter. And his torch and snuffer. More laughter. Lonnie also sings in the carol choir and comes in on Saturdays to fold our bulletins. We're all sure he's going to be a man of God. He's going to grow to be a man of God. He then gently pushed me back toward my pew with a hearty, God bless you, Lonnie. Now, I call him Alan, I'm digressing. I call him Alan Kastner here in the book, but I think he's long dead. So his real name, and he was a wonderful man, just an inspiring, beautiful, no hellfire and brimstone came from this man's pulpit. Reverend Alan Justad was his name. What the dear man didn't know that even though I was the virginal innocent who started and ended each service, I seldom stayed to hear his sermons. Each Sunday after lighting the candles at the 11 o'clock service, I rushed back to the vestry, stripped out of my chasuble, and slipped out the side door with my Timex strapped tightly to my impious wrist. I ran at top speed across the street, past the ancient bandstand and towering elms of Frankfurt Square, straight to the soda fountain of Thule's drugstore. This is in Columbus, Nebraska, everyone. I think Thule's is still there. There, after catching my breath, I lingered over my own Eucharist, a tuna salad sandwich with an unforgettable home-canned bread and butter pickle. My mouth is watering just reading this. It really is. And a cherry phosphate. I knew what heaven was. After my sandwich, I had just enough time to browse a comic book or two before rushing back to church to close the service. I paid for this weekly orgy with the winnings from a weekly crap game that I organized before Sunday school in the church basement. My father had been kind enough to teach me the rules to this venerable game, and I easily attracted a pool of easy marks, their pockets bulging with cash that would otherwise been destined for the offering plate. Predictably, the game was finally raided, and my bones confiscated by George Sorensen, a racist, construction mogul and spiritual exhibitionist who had bullied his way into the position of Sunday school headmaster. Each week before the individual classes adjourned to their respective cells, he, quote, taught, unquote, the general assembly of all the grades in the large common room. Here we drank deeply from the fountain of his bigoted wisdom, learning why people who lived before Jesus, including Adam and Eve and Abraham and Socrates, were all burning in hell, and why blacks had to work for white people because Noah's grandson saw him naked. On the morning of my and I have to point out here, okay, this was not part of Methodist doctrine in any way, shape, or form. During those years, the organized Methodist Church, which is now split up into several things, was at the forefront of the modern civil rights movement. But George Sorensen, I guess, didn't get the memo. On the morning of my arrest, he strutted to the front of the assembly, held up my precious green dice in front of all the students, and bellowed, "These evil dice was brung into God's house by one of your own classmates to steal God's money. I bet he thinks it's real funny. I tell you one thing, God don't think it's funny. I ain't going to tell you who done this. He knows who he is, and God knows who he is." Then, with a dramatic sweep of his hand, he hurled the dice into the trash can and added dramatically, "All I can say is, I'll pray for him." Now, much as I despised George, and this is all hyphenated, much as I despised George, if their religion won't let 'em eat cows, why don't them godless Hindus start eating all them monkeys they got jumping around India? Sorensen. I loved Reverend Allen. I admired his youthful enthusiasm and positive attitude. He had a beautiful young wife, and I fantasized what life must be like in the rectory. He preached no hellfire and made it seem like it should be fun to be a Methodist, whether you believed in God or not. I was so comfortable with his brand of religion that even though I was a secret unbeliever, I told my parents I wanted to be a Methodist minister when I grew up. Even my free-thinking father attended service each week to show his support for this dynamic man who was sent by the bishop to build our new church. He built our new church all right. Predictably, the building contractor was George. If they ain't been baptized, then they're burning in hell, even if they are just little babies, Sorensen. Unfortunately, before the erection of the new church was completed, his 12-year-old daughter walked in on him playing Adam and Eve with Reverend Allen's wife in the new church annex. The scandal shocked the town and forced the Kastners to move away. My father stopped going to church. I continued to serve under the next pastor and the next one and the next. After a short vacation, George Sorensen resumed his job as Sunday school headmaster. All I can say is, I'll pray for him. That's my Sunday school story for this Sunday school. I'm sure many of you have heard it before. And hey, if you haven't read My Life with the Spirits yet, if you're so young, I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, I certainly will. And hopefully in a year or so, there may be a 25th anniversary edition. But please don't hold your breath for that, or don't wait for that. If you haven't read My Life with the Spirit in whatever language you speak, please. It helps me. It helps my publisher. Actually, you don't know how many people you're hurting unless you buy this book. Until tomorrow, everyone in Southern California and parts of Nevada, please stay dry, stay safe, stay in, and weather this freakish. The new normal is now called freakish weather. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.